From sibling rivalry to conference rivalries. That's next on the Game 365. In the shadow of skyscrapers just south of Manhattan, two brothers are aiming to rebuild a basketball program. Now, before the 2010-2011 season, Wagner College of Staten Island hired Dan Hurley, formerly of St. Benedict's High School, to lead the men's basketball program. Then Dan brought on his brother Bobby, a former NBA lottery pick, as an assistant. The sibling support will help make Dan's transition to the college game just a little bit easier. And you were able to get your brother to come back and get involved in basketball. Was it a tough decision?
You know, we spoke a lot, during the interview process, with Wagner, and, I knew that he wanted to do it. I wasn't quite sure whether he understood, the commitment level, having not, been in college coaching, in terms of the recruiting, your phone going off at all hours of the night, the stress level of the actual, the competition, and then also taking over a program that needed to get rebuilt, from the ground up, taking over a 5-26 season, for a guy that knew nothing but national championships and Final Fours, and a lottery pick NBA player. Are you going to be able to, to kind of come into a program, that's filled, that's been filled with, subpar play for the, last couple of years.
Bobby, what brought you back to basketball?
Well, it was the right time for me. I'm at a good place right now where Dan gave me an opportunity to come in and work with him. I have complete confidence in his abilities as a coach. I thought it'd be a great place to learn the game, from a coaching perspective, and also to do it with my brother, makes it more special.
I interviewed Dan and Bobby on the court they hope will host many victories. And though they share similar genes, I learned their styles couldn't be more different.
Yeah, I think Bobby had us going 24-5. I had us going 5-24. My glass is probably half empty. Bobby's was probably half full. And his presence has helped me put losses behind and move forward and just concentrate on the big picture of building the program and not expecting to win 22 games and go to the NCAA tournament this year and then beat Duke in the first round, which is what I think, deep down at night we kind of like, right?
Attach, fight through screens, avoid screens. You're guarding their guys in the post, body up, and then rebound and push them out.
Get Chris with Latif, keep the rotation going. He hasn't been out.
Yeah.
Except when he has eye.
1 minute.
Just got to keep rotating those three this first half.
Played a lot of minutes 2 nights ago.
Get Teef then, get him.
Dan is definitely, a fiery guy. He's a motivator. He is demanding in terms of making sure everyone's playing hard and is concentrating and is focused. And if you're doing all those things, then it's pretty easy to play for Dan. Otherwise, you can't fool him because he knows the game so well and he picks up on all these things. So definitely Dan is in that mold. For me, I look at things just slightly different. I'm not as maybe aggressive as Dan is in that regard. And I think I need to be a little bit as an assistant coach to be analytical, to see, maybe some things that Dan may be missing just because he's involved in so much as being the head coach.
Bobby, it's funny, was a fiery player, as hard-nosed as you'd come across, but his demeanor as a coach is very calm, very poised. I came across as a player as probably maybe a little bit too relaxed, and I'm, pretty animated on the sideline.
Pressure! Pressure! Pressure!
Both Hurleys have made their living on the basketball court. Now, since his playing days concluded in college, Dan has built his resume on the sideline. Bobby, on the other hand, has only run a team on the court. It's interesting, you said you could learn from the coaching aspect. yet you were a coach on the floor.
Yeah, it's just a lot of the nuances, and I've been away from the game, from organized basketball for some time, so just getting readjusted and familiarized again with everything. And but I'm a quick learner in some of those areas, and I feel pretty sure that Dan's happy with the job I'm doing so far. I hope so.
If he's not going to tell you, I'm sure. Now, saying that, did you guys deal with the sibling rivalry?
You know what, just the age differential, we were real close. And, you know, growing up, we'd always compete against each other. We were competitive kids, and, you know, whether it was baseball or basketball, whatever the sport would have been, we had a tendency to maybe go after each other a little hard. And, but it's a different kind of relationship now. We're kind of tight and best friends, whereas when we were younger, it might have been, you know, a little more competitive between the two of us.
Rebuilding the Hawks. That's next on the Game 365. The Wagner Seahawks are in rebuilding mode. Their last winning season came in 2007-2008, when they finished one game out of first place in the Northeast Conference. Both brothers know what the key will be if the Staten Island school returns to success.
Recruiting, you know, for this level, you know, when you're talking low to mid majors, you know, it's you know, the July recruiting evaluation period is huge for us. You know, and for us kind of coming in from high school and, you know, from business, you know, going out and traveling, you know, 2 weeks, you know, in 2-week clips and evaluating well over 150 kids, you know, for 3 scholarships, you know, it was a whole totally different experience. And, you know, you end up hoping that certain kids that you know are good enough play bad so that you can get them.
The thing is, when you two guys go into somebody's house, it's got to help. The Hurley name has to help.
Not so much with the name I think helps. You know, Bobby's great with the parents and uncles and.
Yeah, I mean, I'm at that age where they kind of remember me as a player, so that way it helps. It helped with the point guard we signed from Charlotte. You know, just obviously my background in North Carolina helps. And then, but for me, it's more when I talk to the kids and the parents, it's about St. Benedict's and what Danny's done there. Like all the kids it's fresh in their mind, it's current, they know about all the great players Dan's coached, and that to me has been more helpful in recruiting than anything I did as a player.
So Bobby recruits parents, and I recruit the player because they've all heard of the St. Benedict's guys.
How tough is it to recruit a kid, say, from Florida to Staten Island? How do you sell it?
The city, I mean, the city, you could start there. I mean, it's a great draw. So that's number one. And then, you know, it's Dan and what he's accomplished as a coach so far. And I think he's close enough in age with a lot of the guys to relate well with them. So there are a lot of pluses, you know, and things we could talk about, you know, with recruits.
So far, the brothers have had no problem bringing fresh talent to Wagner. But even though they have been initially successful, there still remains a learning curve.
You know, in high school, you know, we didn't have to do a lot of recruiting at St. Benedict's. You know, the first couple of years, you know, we had some really good success. You know, families saw what I was doing for, you know, a guy like J.R. Smith who went to the NBA out of high school, you know, Lance Thomas who won national championships at Duke. You know, and you know, parents are comfortable putting their, you know, child's, you know, lives and careers in my hands. You know, here it's a lot more competitive. You know, we're trying to convince kids, you know, that maybe are getting recruited, you know, at a conference level, you know, maybe above our league, you know, to come and play for us here at Wagner. I think that's kind of the trick, you know, in recruiting, is to maybe, you know, recruit guys that are maybe a little bit better than, you know, maybe a little bit better than your conference in terms of how they're graded. You know, and we've been able to do that. We're starting 3 freshmen, and we've got, you know, 2 outstanding guys signed early already, you know, who are going to be high impact players. plus a transfer from Southern Miss, who was New Jersey Player of the Year when he was a senior. So recruiting couldn't be going better. And our current team is also allowing us to even recruit better because we're doing better than what most people imagined we'd do at this point.